really happy to be here because these are questions that matters a lot for me. I was born and raised in Tunisia, and I work now at the Paris School of Economics at the Institut de Politique Publique. And I will talk to you a little bit about microsimulation. So the Institute is mainly a research center dedicated to study public policy, and we use we try to do ex ante and ex post evaluation. So for ex ante, we use a lot of microsimulation, but we use also these tools to do other things. And for ex post, we do some random control trials, but mainly quasi-experimental designs and also structural econometrics. So what's microsimulation? Very fast. It was born in the 60s. Many Orcutt criticized the macro paradigms, say that, and also the sectorial ones, and try to point that it was really difficult to aggregate nonlinear behavior and response at the individual level to the aggregate level. And it also pointed to that what matters for people is usually distribution matters. So the idea was to try to build a tool, simulation-based tool, that somehow mimic the behavior of the individuals, which are the unit where the decision is made, and to see what are the result on past policies, or to imagine different scenarios, different reforms, and compare them to counterfactual. So it's mainly a laboratory tool for policy experiments. So it slowed really low. It started very slow, but now we have more computer power, more data, and also more resources, as a lot of institutes build upon. So it's resource-intensive microsimulation, but now computers are cheaper, data is more available, and it's a really key tool for the policy debate. So our model at the IPP is the Institute of Fiscal Studies in England, that every year does the green budget when the finance law is voted. We try to do that. In the Netherlands, there is a Central Planning Bureau which does the impact study of every platform of every party before an election. And also we can use microsimulation to project the public finance impact of some decision like the CBO in the US. So why microsimulation? It's a lot about complexity. Complexity in behaviors, because people differ in preferences, information sets, status, and evenly for a set of observable, it may have a different behavior, so you have to take into account that heterogeneity. It will also have an important aspect of dynamical complexity, because you never know if something that works at some time will keep going on. And we also seen that when with more available data, there is a place for a lot of spatial complexity and differentiation. So in practice, microsimulation, we usually separate them in static microsimulation and dynamical microsimulation. So static microsimulation is mainly having a model that compute all the legislation from social security to tax, to income tax, and apply them to some data. These data can be survey-based, or now, and try to make the case for that, it's really important to use administrative-based data, because it gives you much better results. And if you have some dimension that you cannot have in one survey or in one administrative database, you can complement that by using statistical matching techniques. So you can have a broad view of your reforms. There are also dynamic microsimulation models, or what we call, we have one at the IPP called taxi pipe, and they are mainly used to project the population, the career of the individuals, and they're mainly used for pension reforms. And you can also do something at the firm level, but I won't see. So my point is that there is a clear advantage of using administrative data because they are more and more widespread, and they are really useful for quasi-experimental evaluation, for microsimulation model to compute what are the financial implication and distributional implications of reform, and usually survey data have been shown to be lacking some important information. So in public economics, there's a lot of rise of administrative data. This is about all the language trends in public economics. So you see the rise of the use of administrative data, and they also appear more in top economic journals. So there is some, I cannot go back. Okay. And, and also there are change, at least in France, and we actually lobbied for that to have access to more precise data. And now we have access to exhaustive tax data, and so it's really important to have that to look at missing. Voilà. So this is a comparison of the revenue across percentile of disposable income, and you see if you compare our administrative data in the model and the survey data, you don't have the right inequality because you lack revenue at the top, and you have and we have much more poor people at the bottom with no revenue. Sorry. Here we are. So I make a point of using administrative data and how you can you have to also build a model to use that data. Our approach is to try to build a model that is not linked to the data, as is usually done. Think of the Euromod model that the European Commission asked for standardized surveys, and then try to apply the same kind of framework to compute legislation on those data. We try to have a versatile model that you can plug on, that try to represent the legislation of one country, and we plug it on any kind of data, so you have a more flexible model you can work on. And for dynamical microsimulation, you can do career modeling, and my point is that when you use administrative data, which is usually available because if you have a pension system, you have to compute entitlements, and so you have this information, you don't need to have very precise data. You can achieve like maximal prediction on your data by using machine learning techniques that are available across the board. So they can be very effective, but evidently there are concerns about the external validity of these prediction. But these concerns happens for any kind of technique when it's about prediction. So, and why it's very important to have microsimulation for pension projections, because usually the rules are quite different among people. There are special points, so this creates an heterogeneity, and the interaction between the complex legislation and the heterogeneity of careers can have dramatic impact on distribution. I'll try to close in 1 minute. And so usually microsimulation in MENA region focus on consumption microsimulation, how you can change subsidies in cash transfer and so on. There are also some work on microsimulation of inequality, but usually they're based on, they're survey-based and then make a lot of assumptions to make statement on the inequality. But there are some use now of administrative data. Lydia Aswat used tax data in Lebanon. There are social security data in Tunisia that have been used, but it's not published yet. And so you can also combine those more precise data with survey data to have a better assessment of the inequalities. But microsimulation is need to have better tools and try to broaden the policy spectrum. Okay, I'll stop here. I was too long, and I'll take your questions.
Thank you very much.